Hello, thank you for joining us on this Friday. I'm Hoyt alongside Jurnee Taylor. Tonight we're going to hear from the man in charge of voting in Arkansas after President Trump's election integrity speech last night.
Yeah, the president saying elections are vulnerable while claiming hundreds of thousands of ineligible ballots were cast, including some here in Arkansas. Secretary of State Cole Jester sending us the following statement reiterating what he has said in the past. Arkansas has the most secure and efficient elections in the nation.
Now, the U.S. Constitution vests individual states with handling and running elections, but the administration issued warnings to states that they must go along with security enhancements being called on by the White House or risk losing federal funding. Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin added that his agency is working on giving states the resources they need.
Now, during the address, President Trump also pushed for Congress to pass the Save America Act, which he says would help secure elections. But some, like Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, say they will continue to vote against it.
A legal win for the Sanders administration in the fight over who controls the state's prisons. The state Supreme Court ended a lawsuit launched by the Board of Corrections back in 2023.
Now, that lawsuit arose when it fired the then prison secretary appointed by Governor Sanders. Since then, the governor appointed a majority of the board members, and they agreed with Attorney General Tim Griffin to end the case. And yesterday, the Supreme Court rejected appeals by members of the board who wanted to keep the case alive.
Speaking of Governor Sanders, earlier today she announced nearly $3.5 million in funding for water and wastewater projects across the state. Her office says it'll serve more than 8,000 utility customers.
The biggest customers, yes. The biggest is a $2.1 million loan for Decatur's wastewater plant expansion. Now, water is gonna be important over the next couple of days, too, because it's only gonna get hotter.
Meteorologist Nathan Scott joining us after issuing a weather impact alert. All that red behind you, sir. Explain what it's all mean.
Well, Rolly and Jurnee, we're talking about early next week. Monday, Tuesday, that's the worst of the heat that's going to be experienced across the state and really the hottest temperatures we've seen so far this year, as numbers will climb up close to 100 degrees, if not over 100 degrees for some locations. But with all that humidity, it'll feel like 107, maybe as high as 113. And Monday, it's going to be miserable because I think we won't have much of a breeze to cool things down. So you got to stay hydrated, plan those outdoor tasks early in the day or late in the evening, and listen to your body. Don't push yourself in these type of conditions. Right now, temperatures are pretty much into the upper 80s, low 90s, but it's cooled down to 86 in Searcy because you've seen a few showers out there this afternoon. But where it's been sunny, temperatures into the low 90s, feeling like 104 right now in Arkadelphia. Radar Loop shows things have really quieted down across most of the state. Nothing showing up here other than one lone shower into Phillips County, and still watching a little bit of light rain for you folks into Jackson County. Through the overnight, we'll see clouds on the increase. Small chance there could be an isolated shower to begin your Saturday. It's pretty much a rinse and repeat situation, although the numbers will be a little hotter compared to today, going for a high of 96 degrees here in the metro. Everybody should warm up into the mid-90s, and your heat index forecast topping out 100 to as high as 105. This heat wave that is expected will have some break as we get into the next 7 days. I'll have more on that forecast coming up.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Well, as temperatures in the heat index climb into the triple digits, so can your electric bill. THV 11's Tanya Rodaziski spoke with Entergy about a few simple ways to stay cool without burning a hole in your wallet.
It's that kind of heat that has your air conditioner working overtime. Before you crank the thermostat lower, Entergy is reminding you to find ways to cut costs.
If it's 100 degrees outside and you leave your air conditioner on, 72 and you're not there, that unit is working double trying to keep your home cool.
Especially when it comes to running your AC.
Especially when you're not going to be at home. Turn it up to what's comfortable for your home. And then when you come in the afternoon or in the evening, turn it back down to what's comfortable for you.
Katrina Brown with Entergy says their efficiency program is free for customers, and they'll send a technician to your home to inspect it.
And they may be able to look at your air conditioning unit to see if it's working properly, check your insulation in your attic to make sure that everything is sealed correctly. If it's not, then they do that for you for free. They'll update that for free. window ceilings and things like that.
And of course, Brown says unplug your appliances and turn off lights when you aren't using them, because these little cost-cutting measures add up. In Little Rock, Tanya Motorzycki, THV 11 News.
All right, Tanya, thank you. And a reminder, there are cooling centers around Little Rock and other communities. For a list of those, you can just head over to our website. That's thv11.com. Now, people with Alzheimer's and dementia are often at greater risk when temperatures rise and require extra attention from those around them. That's why the Alzheimer's Foundation of America is sharing tips of their own. If you're a caregiver, they say you should take extra precautions like preventing them from wandering, focusing on hydration, and dress them comfortably.
Tonight we want to follow up on that report that shows medical marijuana sales in Arkansas are down so far this year. The Department of Finance Administration says dispensaries sold $140 million worth of medical marijuana since January. It's about $4 million less than the same time last year. Now, some context. Sales set state records last year. And officials with the Marijuana Board say while overall sales are lower, dispensaries are still seeing consistent daily business.
On average, a dispensary is doing about $21,000 a day in sales. So it's not as if the bottom has fallen out of this industry. You know, if you have a business that's doing $21,000 a day, you know, that's a solid business. But it's something that we'll be tracking and looking at.
Now, since the first state dispensary opened 10 years ago, Arkansas has recorded more than $1.7 billion in medical marijuana sales. We are also following the spread of the cyclosporasis cases as the CDC is now looking into several items that could be carrying that disease. This as CBS News has learned that Taylor Farms, an iceberg lettuce supplier used by Taco Bell, has been linked to that virus in 5 states. The outbreak has spread to more than 30 states, including Arkansas. Oh, not on that map there. The CDC has confirmed at least 26 cases here, though. The Little Rock School District moving closer to opening West High School, and administrators are going to work on the seismic shift it's going to bring.
Yeah, TV 11's Carter Threet breaks down the options for which kids in which parts of the city will be zoned to the new school.
Well, behind me is construction work on Little Rock's newest high school. But who's actually going to go there? That's what district leaders are trying to figure out.
Super excited about the work that is already happening for West High that's going to open next fall.
Stephen Helmick will serve as principal when Little Rock West High School opens in the fall of 2027. Currently, Little Rock has 2 school zones for Central and Southwest High, but that will become 3.
To me, this is such an easy decision.
Helmick favors boundary option 2, where West would take more of Southwest Little Rock from Central High. He says racial diversity is a key factor.
When I see anywhere from 40% African American, 40% white, 10% to 12% Hispanic, and then the rest of Indian Asian, that gets me excited. As not only a principal, but also as a parent that has kids within the district, because I'm like, that's the real world.
Under option 1, West's enrollment would be predominantly white. One board member said she's heard from people in Midtown Little Rock who want to stay at Central High. The superintendent responded.
I think we have to acknowledge that people, some families and folks who live in Central's boundary now won't be. And there is nothing we can do about that, because the boundary as it exists right now is just not equitable and it's just not fair.
And while the school may not be open till next year, Dr. Wright says the final zoning decision needs to be made soon.
I would say by the end of August, we need to make a decision.
In Little Rock, Carter Thweet, THV 11 News.
All right, Carter, thank you. Well, the board also discussed whether the high school should open with all 4 grades or just 9th and 10th.
Now, when Southwest High opened in 2020, it began with all 4 grades, but it replaced 2 schools that had closed. Officials are concerned West High may start off with too much staff if it opens with all 4 grades.
Well, still to come here at 6, the story of how one Arkansas couple is helping guide veterans and survivors down the trail to healing.
And here you go for Saturday. The heat index will already be close to 100, if not over 100 by lunchtime. And we'll see those max heat index values maybe as high as 105. Mixture of sun and clouds, very small chance it could be isolated shower. The heat only gets worse from here. I'll let you know how hot it's going to get, how hot it's going to feel, and also if there's any relief in my 7-day forecast.
Nathan, I like your maps. I can read them. Meanwhile, we're keeping up with Butch Jones. The Red Wolves football coach takes the stage at Sun Belt Media Days.